You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Everyone these days could use a little support, and your friends at the ESO Network are no different. With the ESO Network Patreon, the cool thing is when you help support us, it's you who will benefit. With 4 tiers starting for as little as 25 cents a week, you can listen to some of your favorite network podcasts early, hear exclusive content, maybe get some ESO swag, or even possibly take a shot at the geek seat. All you need to do is sign up at patreon.com/ESO Network.
Hello, and welcome again to the Monster Sci-Fi Show. I am your host, The Monster, and for today's podcast, I got a really cool twofer, meaning I'm going to review Little Monsters, which is the first one-fer. The second twofer is that I actually got to speak with the director and writer of Little Monsters. So if you don't know about this movie, in a nutshell, it's a washed up musician who teams up with a teacher who's a kindergarten teacher and a kid's personality that are stuck in the middle of a zombie outbreak. Alright, so without further ado, let me start interviewing Abe Forsythe.
Hey, Montgomery.
Hi, Abe. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you very much for getting me this interview. I was ecstatic when I finally got to see Little Monsters. And, you know, it's one of those things that I love zombies, and I love when there's a zombie and comedy element to things. And you did a fantastic job for this. I could not be more than pleased. So I'm just curious, is this something that you've loved to have done or watching as a kid, or what was your passion behind this?
Look, I am. There's particular zombie movies that I am a fan of.
Yes.
I'm a fan of genre movies in general, but it wasn't something that I ever intended to make a zombie movie, a zombie comedy in particular, and I think that's for a couple of reasons. I feel like it's been done, and it's been done really well. Shaun of the Dead is obviously the high watermark of
right.
it, but also, if I'm being completely honest as well, Peter Jackson's Brain Dead was a very key movie for me in my adolescence, and early Peter Jackson movies
yes.
too. You know, he made me want to be a filmmaker. So, and certainly the bloodbath, the lawnmower sequence in that movie, I don't think has ever been topped and can ever be topped.
No, I don't think so, but you come close.
And look, for me, so the idea of doing a zombie movie actually came about because it was this movie is directly influenced by my own life and my son's first year of kindergarten and my relationship with my son.
Right.
And my son has the same sort of very severe food allergies that the lead kid, Felix, has in the movie.
Right.
And until he'd been to kindergarten, he'd never been out of my care. So it was terrifying for me to have to hand him over to someone else and for someone else to be responsible for him. And he lucked out and I lucked out. He had the most incredible kindergarten teacher. And then that made me realize how important kindergarten teachers are specifically. I mean, I knew teachers were important, but kindergarten teachers do so much for us and our children. And I also saw how his world opened up too when he was under her care. And then we were on a school excursion about halfway through the year. It was me, his kindy teacher, Spike, my son, and 24 other 5-year-olds. And we were at a petting zoo, which is the petting zoo where we filmed this movie as well.
Right.
And something just happened when we were on the school excursion that made me think, what if that was a zombie? And I don't know why that idea fell into my head, but immediately after it had it, the whole story of this movie just became completely clear, because I remember thinking it would not only be about stopping these children's brains from being eaten, it would actually be about stopping them from being corrupted by everything. Like, how do you keep your innocence in the horrors of the world? thinking, well, his kindergarten teacher, I'd actually if he's going to get caught in a zombie apocalypse, I'd feel pretty safe with her looking after him. So the idea just kept extrapolating and then influencing all the characters and all the situations in the movie, and then it happened all pretty quickly.
Now, because I kind of had the exact same kind of concern with my son because he has an egg allergy, and we also deal with the EpiPen. So the moment where he has to administer the EpiPen and he does it the wrong way, I'm like panicking. That's the worst thing that I could ever imagine. That I'm out there and having to do this with my son, and I'm like, oh my God, it's completely wrong. And so I'm panicking. So I know that feeling.
How old is your son, just by the way?
He's 13 now.
Yeah, right, okay. So he can kind of manage it himself now.
Yeah, exactly. And he's always good about that.
And that for me, that sequence, and you would know this, better than anyone. It was really important to me because this is a movie that the zombies are, there's some scary zombies in it, but there's some sort of, comedy zombies, obviously, as well,
right.
too. And I wanted to bring in a real world. I wanted the danger at one point in the movie to come from the real world, which is why that whole sequence is built up around having to run to get the EpiPen and the sort of the time limit and everything that is associated with that. And also to say to the audience that anything can happen. That potentially this danger is actually real. And also the zombies. They can be a metaphor for whatever you want them to be as well.
Right.
So they mean something to me, but everyone else can come to their own conclusions of. But yeah, that sequence was very difficult for me to write, to shoot, and to edit. Like it was not easy. But I also I kind of felt like it was important. And just on that though, and you don't have to include this, but fucking EpiPen wouldn't give us the rights to using the EpiPen for real.
Wow.
Change his name to something else because they said, oh yeah, but it shows him using it in the wrong way and we don't want that. And we're like, no, it shows someone using it in the wrong way and then it shows them using it in the right way. If anything, this is more beneficial than just seeing it used in the right way. It was so infuriating that they wouldn't
right.
do that.
The other thing that as a father that was kind of hesitant in the very beginning, I felt like with Dave, the role that Alexander played, that he was kind of hesitant about having a family, and he threw in this thing about his father, which again also relatable because I did have that kind of like feeling or confidence that I could be a father to my own kids because I was worried about what had happened to me before. So I'm wondering, I mean, did you have that kind of initial situation, and maybe that's why you wrote it in there? That's maybe more cathartic for you for that experience?
No, look, I'm fortunate to have a great relationship with both of my parents. That's certainly I think anyone, I think it's very common for anyone to have fears about being a father, whether you have those fears before you know you're going to be a father, or whether you develop them during the pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly had fears of being a father, and not just about whether I am going to be able to provide for this child and be able to look after this child, but also am I even ready for this? And Dave certainly represents, I think, that particular emotion that would be very familiar to anyone that's either knowing that they're going to be a parent or wondering if they ever will be.
Yeah.
And he's pushed to in the first half of the movie. It's the comedic extreme of that too, the way he's acting out. But it was important for me to see closure with him, through the course of when you do have a child, which this was my direct experience. Every fear and every doubt that I had about being a parent went away as soon as I was looking at my son.
Yeah.
And I've never doubted it since, and would never think twice about being a parent again for that reason, because it's just it's what it can teach you about yourself. You would know this is more beneficial than anything, and also that was an important journey for the character of Dave, which relates to what your question too, which is. This can be something that heals. This can be something that makes you having a kid can be something that makes you better.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why you have to repeat the steps of the past. And it's when you look at those things with fear that those fears actually end up sort of coming true.
So I think one of the other important messages that I got from this, and again, because I'm following my footsteps through Dave, and then he's talking to Lupita, who's playing Miss Caroline, about her backstory and how she had to kind of step up. And I'm like, that's the kind of thing that I kind of have to, with kids, you need to step up because you're now responsible for a much larger picture than yourself, and making sure that they're protected. So when she is, thrust upon this world where you have zombies, her main mission is taking care of those kids. And it's like, oh my God, I wish it was just that simple that you can just take care of any problem. I'm taking care of the kids no matter what happens outside. It's amazing. And I think she's brilliant in that performance.
Oh, yeah.
I love her so much.
She really is. And that's the thing is that, I'm so lucky and privileged to have her playing that role because I knew she had the strength and truth, the capacity to sort of, project, all of this real, every sort of side of Miss Caroline as a character. And it's a very multifaceted character. I knew that she would represent each of those sides equally and with the same amount of importance. And that was something that when she was my first choice for this role and why I'm so thrilled that she's in the movie. But it's like, because I just went, I would feel comfortable with Lupita Nyong'o. Lupita Nyong'o's kindergarten teacher looking after my son, just the same way that I felt about his real kindergarten teacher.
Right. That's wonderful. So my question, because you did bring this up, at least in one quick sequence with a couple of soldiers talking about, why we're here again? Oh, it's because of the zombies. So it seems as if, and then the question came up, and I was thinking about this, about your preference about the fast zombies or the slow zombies. And one of the soldiers says, oh, good thing they're slow. So what is your preference, with the zombies out there? Is it fast or slow?
Definitely slow. And I think definitely slow because it's like, I think George Romero,
right.
He, I mean, obviously kind of invented zombies as well,
yes.
In a way, but also I think he knew what was inherently scary and inherently ridiculous about zombies, which is why it can only really be done. You can't do those with, in my opinion, fast zombies can't be funny. They can be scary, and certainly slow zombies can be scary, but there's always just that thing about them which makes them ridiculous. And I think that's life too, isn't it? I mean, it's like it is scary and it is ridiculous in equal measures. And the way of sort of not letting life get you down is by laughing in the face of fear. So I think that's the best way you can kind of encapsulate what's great about slow zombies. You get to be scared and you get to laugh at the same time.
Right. Pretty much. And not that you take joy in like killing zombies, but you kind of feel very emotional that you can just get rid of the problems because they're not much of a threat, provided you don't get into a corner, and that's the danger. But I just think that it's so much fun. When I grew up watching zombie movies, and just knowing that it's not real, but to have a more comedic end to it adds even more of a situation which, like you said, it's not about the zombies, it's about the people reacting to the situation, much like The Walking Dead, in which, there's zombies, but it's the fallout of the people and how they react. So no one exemplifies that kind of fallout is Josh Gad's performance as Mr. McGiggles, because, kids person, he's fantastic, but then he is like cussing up a storm and at the kids, and I'm like, oh my God.
He's the biggest monster in the movie.
Yes, exactly.
And it was really important for me with that character that, Dave does some pretty bad things in the first half of the movie, the way he behaves around children. But then I really needed, when Dave started to transition from one character to another, I needed Josh the character of Teddy McGiggles to actually come in and double down on Dave's behaviour, but also be the biggest threat of the movie too. And you should be asking the question: Are the kids safe? And Josh certainly gave me more than enough to work with in finding the right balance.
I mean, his performance. There was a comedian that passed away long ago. Like his name is Sam Kinison, and he was a very angry comedic performer. So it was just channeling that, and I'm like, oh my God, the stuff that comes out of him, and the fact that he's in a Disney movie for Frozen is just like 180 degrees, and I loved it. So I really applaud that, because that, again, you can side with that one person that's so selfish, like in most zombie movies, that he will forsake others for himself, and then, of course, things happen to him justly. So it's very redeeming.
Completely. And that is the great thing about Josh too, is that Josh is just as believable playing the children's entertainer, the legitimate children's entertainer, before he turns into the depraved one. And then there's a whole bunch of meta stuff with Josh, obviously being Olaf from Frozen, but it's only meta for a reason too, which is because he's really good. I mean, Josh is an incredibly skilled actor, and at multiple things. But Olaf, Josh also did Book of Mormon on Broadway for Trey Parker and Matt Stone. He's got a very subversive streak to him as a human being, and he was definitely letting off a lot of steam.
Oh yeah, I saw that kind of like, that's all bottled in, and then just came all flowing out. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So another couple of questions, real quick.
Yep.
In light of streaming services, because this movie is being released through Hulu.
Yes.
Do you feel that having horror movies now come to a streaming platform as opposed to traditional theaters, is there a loss in the experience, like with a theater, when you're all like with your friends on a Friday night and have that? Do you feel like that's a different direction now for horror movies?
Yeah, look, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because, look, I certainly designed this movie to be shared with a audience, and not so much the horror, but more the comedy. Because like I said, the main extreme stuff happens here in the comedy, and there's certainly gore and things, but and I think that watching extreme material, whether it's horror or comedy, definitely helps being a communal experience. So in answer to your question, I don't know, and I think we're at a stage where it's still such in its infancy, and one thing that that it does give you, and certainly as an independent, this is an independent movie, and my last movie was an independent movie as well too. And my last movie, unfortunately, had trouble seeing the light of day outside of Australia for a number of reasons.
Exactly.
So this being able to suddenly be available in the tens of millions of homes in America that have Hulu, and that we can get word out there about that movie, and then people can actually go and see it, is for me far outweighs the other, because I've had the other when it hasn't gone to theaters. So to just be able to make something and know that people can see it and know that it can sort of connect with an audience,
right?
That for me is the first priority. So yeah, I'll take that any day over having a cinema and not having anyone there. I'm just being given the we've got to wrap up signal.
Oh, fair enough.
Do you want to do one more quickly?
Yeah, one more real quickly. Are you going to do a sequel?
No. and the only reason, like, to be honest, like, if I was going to sort of like really sort of look, if someone offered me a stupid amount of money,
right,
I probably still wouldn't, though, because it was so hard making a movie with 11 5-year-old kids.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's hard enough being a parent to one kid, but trying to make a movie with 11 is I just can't put myself or anyone else through that again.
Okay, fair enough. But I appreciate your time, Abe. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you've said. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Dude.
So now I'm back to give you a review of Little Monsters. So, as I mentioned before, this is basically a zombie movie with lots of comedic overtones. And we briefly touched upon this, in which Abe was kind of influenced by Peter Jackson's movie called Brain Dead, which is also retitled as Dead Alive, which came out in 1992. Other movies that we didn't get to talk about, but it is also in the exact same vein. He did mention Shaun of the Dead. There's Zombieland, there's Warm Bodies, There's Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. There's Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. The Dead Don't Die, which came out earlier this year, as well as Zombieland Double Tap, also coming out this year. So Little Monsters does hold up in that genre, in which you have, you got your zombies and you got lots of good comedy here. And I was so pleased the fact that Lupita Nyong'o, who plays Miss Caroline, really is fantastic. Like, I cannot stop gushing about how well her role is. And me thinking about how easy it would be to have her be as a cosplay, with all the blood on her and having a ukulele and having a bunch of kids and like, Halloween's done, kids. It's fantastic to watch this. Alexander England, who plays Dave, who's our main guy, who again I saw a lot of myself, not necessarily as a musician, but more about the whole transition, about stepping up to become more than where you are right now. What I loved about Dave's story is that there is an arc. He has changed over the course of the story from a guy who just is kind of stuck in this kind of arrested development, doesn't want to go any further in his relationship or in his life, and he's just stuck with no band that he still claims he's still part of the band. And then, the series of events that unfold, he is probably the best person or the best version of himself at the very end. So throughout the course of the story, it's fantastic. And I have to give my hat off to Josh Gad. As I mentioned, his foul mouth is hysterical. Like, literally, it's like I felt him channeling Sam Kinison, as I mentioned before in an interview. I cannot stop laughing at his reaction to the whole situation. And like with most zombie movies, you don't necessarily have to say how this started. You don't have to worry about that. It's just like, this happened. Deal with it and just go forward with that. So everything about this movie just hits on all the right notes, and I could not be more pleased about this. And again, not getting too much in the way of spoilers, but it's just like any other movie in which, some people pay a price for what they do, and some are able to grow and to a better person. So the other standout that I forgot to mention was Felix, the nephew that Dave takes care of. And his name is Diesel La Taroka. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But oh my God, is he like the most adorable kid, and the kind of kid that I'm like, yeah, I kind of see how he's going to grow up to be. That kind of nerdy kid. And there are moments in here that it was just like, I felt so proud that he achieved the very thing that he does in a certain suit. And I can't give that away to you. I get the nerdiness of that as a dad myself, because, I've taught my kids as much as I could about sci-fi and Star Trek and Star Wars, giving the Vulcan salute with the fingers and all that. So that's the kind of moment that I'm like, you were able to put in little bits of elements of nerdiness like that in a horror movie, and it just, I can't speak highly enough how much that's endearing to me. So, enough of that. You really do have to watch this. And the good news is that when this is released, which I'm hoping is going to be on October 8th, it is going to be in a limited run in New York. But as of the 11th, October 11th, it will be on Hulu. You can stream it. So what better way than you're listening to me talking about it? I can't hype it enough, other than you really do need to watch this, especially in the month of October. To me, this is one of those movies that it's high in my list for this year, about how enjoyable it is, how much fun. Oh my God. I was in a miserable mood when I started to watch this when I came home from work, and by the end of it, I was just so damn happy. How many zombie movies can say that it makes you actually happy? This is one of the few movies that made me happy that day. So again, go watch it. You really will do yourself a favor. Especially watch it with friends. I think you can't mess out with that. Alright, so on that note, that's it. I got nothing else. I don't want to give too much away. But I want to thank Forsythe and Tina for helping set up this interview. I'm pleased as punch to have that opportunity and hope I can do this again in the future. Email me, guys, when you watch this movie. Email me about your thoughts at monsterscifishow@gmail.com. Remember to follow me on the various social networks. So again, thank you for listening to me and to the Monster Sci-Fi Show. It's sci-fi from a certain point of view. Good night.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.